Hi, my name is Maria Fernanda, and I'm a volunteer organizer with Cosecha, and I'm going to run you through our training for trainers presentation. So the function or the purpose of this presentation, it's for you as the lead trainer to be able to train the Cosecha trainers. So I am assuming that you're either the lead trainer or you're helping the lead trainer, and you all are trying to figure out how to do a training for trainers to get all of your team ready for training day. So this is the index if you want to use this presentation, which is available online without the video of what's on it. But we're first going to run through what are the 3 steps that we need to do before the training. What are the examples of what your training can look like? Also, what does the rest of your team need to do to prepare for the training? What do practice blocks during the training for trainers or T4T look like? And then a script for recruitment calls and tips. Okay, so let's get started. There are 3 things that you and your team need to decide and do before getting to a T4T or a training for trainers. Step 1 is that your team needs to choose if they want to get together for a full day or 2 half days. A T4T takes approximately 8 hours, and you can choose to take a whole day or 2 4-hour days. I understand that some people cannot take a whole day off because of work, school, prior commitments, whatever it is. So some teams, you might have to decide to do 2 4-hour days. So the first thing is to decide, are y'all going to do a 1-day or a 2-day T4T? The second thing to decide is when are you going to do it, and just confirm the date. There's different things that have been done. If your training's on Saturday, some teams meet all day Friday. Some teams meet the half Thursday, 5 to 9, Friday 5 to 9 before the training, or you could do like a week before all day on Saturday. So you just need to be able to confirm that date. And the last thing that you as a lead trainer need to do is you need to have the agenda for the training. Needs to be confirmed. So I'm about to give you a sample of what that agenda can look like so that you can complete it with the feedback of your team. So if you click on this link, it will take you to a view-only document that has a 1-day and 2-day sample agenda. So this is what the 1-day sample agenda looks like. You start with resonating. With like a lot of things in Cosecha, we always start with resonating because that is one of our principles. We're a family, and resonating is a way to keep that principle alive. So take an hour for resonating. Do not take it out. Even if you're running late, maybe cut it shorter, break it out into smaller teams, but do not cut it out of your agenda. It's really important. Then you can go into reviewing the agenda. The purpose of this is to ensure that everybody knows at what time to show up for training day. At least 1 hour before the first session starts, it's a good time for trainers to show up. And then that everybody knows the order of the day and what time their presentations are. Then it's always good to go through recruitment. If your goal was 50 people, how close are you to 50 people? Do you expect more people? Do you expect less people? Do we have bilinguals? Do we have mostly English? Do we have mostly Spanish? Do we have a lot of children? Just running through all those things and seeing if there's any last minute things that you need to do to boost up recruitment if the numbers are not where you want to be, or if there's any specific needs that some of the participants that are coming need. So this is the space to talk about all of that. Then talking about what else needs to be done. I know you've done a lot of work for this training. You might still have to figure out lunch. You might still have to figure out the babysitters' rights. Like, what are those last minute things that you all still need to do? This is a space to put it all in a list and ensuring that one of you can bottom line each item. Then we put a 45-minute break for lunch. You can decide to make it a working lunch, or you could take the break. It's up to you and your team. And then we go into the first time block for practice. I'm going to show you an example of what this looks like, but the purpose of this is for, The purpose of this is for all of your trainers to have the opportunity to train, to pretend that it's the day of, and to do the actual presentation. The T4T allows for everybody to do it twice. And this is another super important thing that people need to do. I know it's really nerve-wracking to do it. Some people might say they'll rather just wait the day off. That's not an option. People need to practice it twice during the day. And what you're going to do is that half of it's 6 modules for the initiation training. So half of the first 3 are going to practice while the other 3 help. So they'll listen, they'll pretend to be the audience, they'll give them feedback on how they did. And then they'll do that for 1 hour. And then during the second block that's there, you just switch. Whoever was helping becomes the presenter, whoever was presenting becomes the helper. Then there's a small break, as much or little as you all need it, and then you go through the second run through, exact same thing. And again, I'll show you an example right now of what that looks like. Then we have another break. Practicing is really exhausting. And then at 6 p.m., we want to do confirmation calls to your recruitment list. I will also show you a script of what you all can use if you need help with that. But the purpose of this is to just remind people that signed up, that registered to go to your training, to remind them to come back. You'll do that for an hour. What you might need less or more depending on how many people you need to call. And then it's always helpful, I think, to end with appreciations, just acknowledging everybody's very hard work, and then just closing in next steps. So this is around 8 hours. This is what your one-day agenda can look like. You may make any edits. You might need different things for your group, but this is just something you can start from. And this is the 2 days. If your team cannot meet for a 1 day, that's totally okay. You can do the exact same thing into 2. So as you can see, it's pretty much the exact same agenda. It's just broken up into 2 from 5 to 9, both days, starting with resonating day 1, and we have the confirmations on day 2. The only thing I'll say about confirmations, if you need to change the agenda, is that you should probably do them before 8 p.m., especially if it's like families that you're calling, because any later and the children are asleep, or people are, our people go to work really early. So we want to respect their time. So we try to do confirmation calls before 8. Young people, you might be able to call them later because, we don't go to bed too much later if we have school especially. But yeah, this is what the 2 days look like, and you can find it on the link is on the presentation. You can make any edits you may like. So those are the examples of what your 2 day or your 1 day can look. And these are the 5 things that your team needs to do prior to the training. Number 1, you need to make sure that all trainers have their module assigned. This should not be the first time people know what training they're going to be doing, or that they get the training notes. They should get it at least 2 weeks before the training date. The second thing is that all trainers must have reviewed and practiced at least once prior to the training. It's a lot more helpful if people come with a sense of what they already know, what they need more practice, and it's going to make things run a lot smoother. Number 3 is that all trainers must have a 4-minute public narrative. It's really helpful. Something that we do in Cosecha is that before we present, you share a story of self. You share a story of who you are and how you got into Cosecha, which is no more than 4 minutes. And if you want to look at the other presentation that we have on how to do a public narrative, it's on the wiki as well, which you can also give to your trainers so that they do it before the T4T. Number 4, the logistics coordinator is the one in charge to find a place for you to meet during the T4T and have lunch ready if necessary. You might just potluck it or have stores around to buy lunch, but your logistics coordinator should help, or find somebody else to help on where you all will meet for the T4T. And last but not least, your recruitment lead should confirm what the script you want for the recruitment calls. and have a list of the phone numbers of the people that registered. Hopefully you have a recruitment lead. That's the person that is just ensuring y'all are meeting your recruitment goals. And they need to have a recruiting call script and the phone numbers ready for y'all to use during the training. And I can show you a sample as well that your recruitment lead can use or change as they wish. This is what I was talking about when I talked about the practice blocks. Let me go back. Let me go back so that I can remind you. So over here where it says like second time blocks for practice, first time block, or over here, second and first. So that's what I'm talking about. And so this is what it can look like. Like I said, there's 5 modules and a host. So what you can do is that module 1 presenter, module 2 presenter, and the host. And the host will be presenting while the other 3 will be helping. So they'll be the live audience. They'll ask the questions. They'll provide feedback. And then during the second one, you just switch. This might look different for you if you have people doing more than one presentation. If that's the case, feel free to modify it. But the purpose is that everybody gets to train at least twice with the help of somebody giving them feedback. That's really important. It's a lot different if you do it on your own, which is you should still do. But it's really helpful if you get somebody to give you feedback and be like your audience. So this is what your practice blocks can look like. And then this is a sample of the confirmation call that you can do. The link is there. I'm opening it up. So this is just a sample, a really easy sample of what your recruitment call script can look like. The purpose of this is to call the people that registered to confirm that they're coming, make sure that they know the starting time, and that they know the address. Also, if you have any people with children coming, this is a good spot to confirm if they're bringing their kids and how many, or whatever other logistics need. If people need rides, again, they might ask you here. So this is just for you to get a better idea of who's coming to your training and what kind of logistics needs they might have. And your recruitment lead can either use this script or change it. They should add, let me go back to it, but where there's a lot of underlined things, it's like name of the person you're confirming, your name, training date. So just filling that in for your team. And the last slide I have for you are just some tips for your T4T. Which are in Spanish. So I'm just going to translate them for you. But when you click on this presentation, again, it will be in English. But the first tip is that the lead trainer doesn't have to do everything. So if we go back to the agenda for a second, you see that there's a slot for trainers. So that doesn't mean that you have to do all of it. You can ask your training team to help you. Somebody else can lead resonating. Somebody else can lead the review of the agenda. You don't have to feel like you're taking it all on your own. So that's number 1. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Number 2, it's important to have the agenda written down somewhere on a big butcher paper, on a board, printed out. Sometimes when we're rushed and we're anxious, we might dismiss the agenda, but there's a lot of things that your team's trying to do in a short amount of time. So make sure to have that and keep yourselves accountable to it. Tip number 3, I kind of already talked about it, but you and your trainers are going to be nervous. It's only natural, and it is the worst thing to try to train in front of one person because it can feel really awkward. But we have to push through it because we need to practice at least 3 times before we feel somewhat comfortable with the material, especially if this is your first time training this module. So ensure that all of your trainers go through it. Don't let them say, I'll just practice at home. I'll just do it during the training day. I'm usually a good trainer. Doesn't matter how many, if they're expert trainers, if they're first time trainers, we should all go through the exercise of practicing with somebody else. No exceptions. And the last thing is, as a good trainer, they don't have to read the scripts that they were provided for the modules word by word. You should encourage them to write their own training notes. The best trainers can put personal stories and the stories of their community that they can relate to into their training notes that they were given of our initiation modules. That's all I have. This is the preparation that it takes to lead a training for trainers. Best of luck in the T4T and in your training. Thank you so much.